And hello everybody, it's me, Ghost Critic, and I'm here. It's a Monday, and for those of you who are new to my channel, this is the day that I pose a comic book related, pop culture-ish kind of question to you guys to respond to in the comment section down below. And then I pick all your questions from the last video that you posed to me, and I answer them as best as I possibly can. This week I'm bringing it a little bit closer into the actual comic book community, and my question this week is, if you could have a Google Hangout with anybody within the comic book community, who would it be and what would the topic be of your Google Hangout? Now, there is only one rule in this: you can't pick me. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing who you would like to collaborate within our community, and who knows, that might kind of instigate a few of you getting together and maybe doing some really fun Google Hangouts. Right, so questions this week, and there were a lot, and there were some that I thought were going to be really difficult and actually weren't, surprisingly, and there were some that were a little bit but let's start off with the silly one. Mr. Oddfellow's Thoughts, Travis, thank you for leaving a question this week. He asked me, did you stop doing a news video because I insisted you wear a tie for me to believe it was the news? No, that wasn't the case at all. I am in awe of your What the Fugue. I have to say, you are so invested in the whole outside world of comics, i.e. what's not on the pages, the news, the hype, the kind of previews to everything that's coming out, the creative changes. I know when I go and watch your video, What the Fugue, I know I'm going to be caught up with everything that's going on, and I don't have to read through all those kind of articles on websites here, there and everywhere. Really, it was just a case, it was too much hard work for me. Sleepy Reader 666 asked me, how many new comics a week is too much for you? And I have to say, if I wasn't making YouTube videos and I was just reading comics, then there isn't a limit. The limit is my wallet, basically, and what's inside it. I do feel some weeks, because I do these videos, and I do the review videos on a Friday, that when it starts creeping up to maybe 7 or 8, packing all that into, I try anyway, a 30-minute kind of video upload, a lot of my thoughts kind of get missed out, or I even forget them, because I'm always kind of thinking, I need to hurry this up a little bit, I've got to edit this so it can get, at least try and get it under 30 minutes. So there is never too many comics, really. Maybe if it gets to that point where there are just too many comics a week, I might have to go and just say, look, I'm not going to talk about the crappy comics this week. I don't know. But you can never have too many comics a week. It's just what you can afford in that wallet. Now, this was the one that I thought I was going to have a tough time with. And it's kind of come at a time. If you'd have asked me this in the new year, my choices would have probably been a lot different. But Joshua Hayes, he asked me, if you could only afford 5 comics from your pull list, which 5 would you keep? Now, I say this was easy because the first 2 I'm going to put up is Fables and The Unwritten. Now, they are both great comics anyway, but I have to know how they end. Right here and now, I couldn't give these two up. I'm so invested in Fables. I've been there since kind of issue, right, it was somewhere in the 20s, if I remember rightly, I started collecting them, and then I collected, or tried to collect at least, the rest of the ones I was missing. So I'm so invested in the Fables universe that to be only 5 issues away and then give up on it and not know how it all kind of concludes would just be a travesty. And it kind of goes the same way with The Unwritten. I've been a big supporter of this book. It's been something very cleverly done, the story that Mike Carey has been telling, involving the idea of stories and them having a life as well. And given that we are in the second and final volume of The Unwritten, this one called Apocalypse, it's another of those cases, there's only 3 more issues to go. I need to know how Mike Carey is going to wrap this up, and whether, you know, I can get the feel that we might get a spin-off, or it might come back later on sometime. So those were kind of the 2 easier ones. The next 2, I don't think the next 2 are going to be any big surprise to any of my loyal watchers who tune in every week, and they are both by the same writer. They're both Image titles. It's of course Deadly Class and Black Science. I would pick these 2 over anything else that Image is putting out at the moment, and anything that Marvel definitely is putting out, and almost to the point where I felt I had to pick something from the big 2. Marvel really isn't doing it for me at the moment, so I had to go the DC route. If you're going to go the DC route, you've got to pick a back title, and there really is only one back title that you should be buying if you're going to buy any of them, and that is of course the Scott Snyder Batman adjectiveless title. So they would be the 5 comics that I would pick from my pull list if that's all I could afford. On to the next question. Mercy's Little Show. Thank you, Mercy, for the question. And she asked me, if you had to make a superhero team of 5 people with Judge Dredd as one of the members, what other 4 characters would you pick? Now, given Mercy had provided me with one of the characters, Judge Dredd, I went with that kind of theme, that kind of lawgiver kind of character, and I decided to pick a rather random, but they all kind of in the same genre, so to speak. So I stuck with other 4 members. Rick Grimes from Walking Dead, Deathface Ginny from Pretty Deadly, Tony Chu from Chew, and Shield of Justice from David Hines and Shaky Kane's excellent series, The Bulletproof Coffin. So they are my kind of lawgiver superhero team. Larassa, she asked me, what do you think about the comics based on computer games? This was a bit of a difficult one to answer because I don't really read a lot of comics that are based on computer games. I think the last one I bought was Silent Hill. They did some kind of mini series, and they did some kind of extra pages, kind of thick, almost, you know, mini graphic novels, so to speak, novellas. But they really didn't feel like they were connected into the Silent Hill game at all, but had that kind of creepy, horror-y kind of feel to them. So that's a bit of a difficult one to answer. If they're telling a good story, if it fits in with the game as well, I see no reason for them to be there. I don't hear a lot of people jumping and shouting out loud saying you must buy this, and it's been based on a computer game. Please let me know in the comment section below if you think I've missed anything. Derek Lucarelli asked me, is Scott Snyder a better horror writer or a Batman writer? I presume this question has been kind of came about with Scott Snyder's latest Image title, Witches. He also did a kind of mini-series on Image called Severed, which I did like, and that was meant to be kind of on the horror edge. I didn't think it was that horror-y. It was very creepy, but not so much horror. I think it's a bit too early yet to say about Witches, though it very much has that horror film feel to it. So I'm going to have to really go with Batman, despite the fact that I feel whether this has been forced on him or not, but I don't think, especially in the New 52, Snyder has come up with a great deal of original Batman storylines, apart from the Court of Owls. Everything else has kind of been a kind of shake-up or a twist to stories that have already been pre-52, but he clearly has a handle on the Batman character and knows how to write a good Batman story. Sean Mitchell asked me, what would be your fantasy creative team and what book would you like to see them on? I don't think I wrote this down properly, because I think he also wrote that they hadn't got to be worked already together. I'm not sure, something like that, but I'm kind of going to cheat, because the two people I would have loved to put together, they already are kind of. They're taking their sweet darn time, but they are working together at the moment on the Sandman, the prelude to the Sandman, and that is Neil Gaiman and J.H. Williams III. But I would like them to take on a new original kind of high concept fantasy story. I love Neil Gaiman's novels. I've read a great deal of stuff. American Gods, it's a fantastic series. And J.H. Williams' artwork is just stunning and kind of lends itself to the fantastical. So those are like my dream fantasy creative team. Sherpanor asked me, will we ever see a reunion with the other Brits? For new viewers to my channel, you may not know that Dr. Monkeybot Adam and MAW0001 Mark and myself had a hangout podcast for a while called Excalibur Brits. We had a whole channel. And we did quite a few videos. Then I had to leave for personal reasons, and the guys kept it going, and I didn't feel when I was feeling better and more myself, I kind of didn't feel I could go into there again. They would have welcomed me back with open arms, I know that, but I just didn't feel I could go back to it. It would be nice to do something with the guys again. We used to get some other people in as well, whether they were British or not, and we had a great time doing that. I did enjoy what we did, but I think time issues at the moment, especially for Adam, I know he's very busy. Personally, for me, podcasts, I don't like them to go on too long, because they all kind of start getting a bit rambly, and it's more just a chat with your mates rather than putting on something for your viewers. That's no detriment to anyone making podcasts. You do your own style. That's not mine. He also asked, and this was off the back of me saying that I was fairly well off when it came to buying comics, and that we were talking about the price of comics and what I thought was too high of a price for a comic book. And he asked, so you're fairly well off, are you Alfred Pennyworth? If not, prove it. And when I say I'm fairly well off, I'm not in the lap of luxury by any means. I cut corners on a lot of things, so I have the money to buy all these comic books, etc. And I don't think I can prove I'm Alfred Pennyworth, I'm afraid, apart from showing you the name on my bank statement, and you're not seeing that. Finally, Chris Cowgill asked me, You have been tasked with putting together a super team comprised of characters from each publishing house. And he also said, who would you have them fight, and how would they celebrate at the end? So my characters, and there's a reason I've kind of picked all these when I kind of conclude my story and who they're going to fight against. So from Marvel, I'm picking Moon Knight. From DC, I'm picking Jason Todd. From Image, I'm picking Ada from Alex and Ada. From Dark Horse, I'm picking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. From Boom Studios, this is a bit difficult because at the moment I'm only picking up 2 comics from Boom Studios. So I'm going with The Woods and Adrian Roth. From IDW, I'm picking Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And from Dynamite, I'm going to pick the Green Hornet. Now, they are all characters that don't actually have superpowers, and that was one of my kind of ideas behind this, that they weren't going to be this kind of big superhero with big powers type of team. And they are going to go up against Doctor Doom, one of my favourite comic book villains. And how are they going to celebrate when they're victorious? Well, this is the thing, they're not. By the end of my story, however it was going to be, they all die and Doom is victorious. So it's Doom having the celebrations and not our characters, I'm afraid. And that's it for this week's question of the week. Thank you for all those questions. They were fantastic. I always have so much fun answering these questions, and you give me some head scratches sometimes, and some of them are just easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's it for me this week. Thank you very much. Don't forget to answer the question I posed right at the top of the video, and pose me a comic book, pop culture related question for next week for me to answer. Until then, bye bye, take care.